In this example, we want to compare the gasoline mileage of foreign and domestic car models to see if there is a difference. The null hypothesis is that there is no difference. The first thing to do is to separate the mileage data into two groups, foreign and domestic, and enter them into Excel. I have done this for you here. As I showed you previously, you can calculate mean, sample, standard deviation, and variance. In our case, we want to compare these mean values for gasoline mileage to see if there is a difference. We will eventually use the t-test, but first we need to perform an f-test to determine which t-test to use. To perform an f-test, choose the function, and we will go to Statistical Functions and scroll down here to f-test. For the f-test, we need to choose our first array and our second array, and OK, and it calculates a p-value for us. Again, if the p-value is less than 0.05, you can reject the null hypothesis. The null hypothesis for the f-test is that variances are equal. If p-value is greater than 0.05, you cannot reject the null hypothesis, and you accept that variances are equal. In our cases, a p-value of 0.87, which is greater than 0.05, so we accept that the variances are equal. Next, we can perform our t-test. Again, choose a function, go down here to statistical, but now we're going to go down to t-test. Okay, and here array 1 is dataset 1, array 2 is dataset 2. For tails, you can do a one or two tail distribution. We're almost always going to do a two-tail distribution. And then for type, there are three options. There is a paired t-test, which we're not going to learn about. There is a t-test for equal variance or a t-test for unequal variance. Here is where the data for the f-test comes into play. Since our p-value for the f-test was greater than 0.05, our variances are equal, and so it is type 2. We can then calculate a p-value for the t-test. Again, if the p-value is greater than 0.05, there is no statistical difference. If the p-value is less than 0.05, then you can reject your null hypothesis and say there is a statistical difference. In this case, our p-value is significantly below 0.05, so we can say there is a statistically significant difference between the means of these two groups. Challenge now is to go back to our data and look at our means here, and in this case we conclude that foreign cars have much better gas mileage than do American cars, and that this is a statistically significant better gas mileage with foreign cars than American cars.